record. This is a Zoom meeting. Just so you guys know, if you have any questions, feel free to stop and interrupt. Chances are if you have a question about something, somebody else does. If you don't want to say it out loud, there's a chat feature as well. So you can always chat it to me. I have the window open, so I'll be able to see if you have any questions. But in the meantime, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Tracy All. I'm a Customer Success Manager for your account. So if anything comes up, if you have any questions, whether that's the day you start using us to run your background checks or in a year and a half from now, if you have questions, I'm going to be your primary contact moving forward. So nothing's too small, nothing's too big. If you have any questions at all, send them my way. Email, I can answer very quickly. If you prefer talking on the phone, please just give me a call either way. Before we begin and I show you how to run background checks and what the GoodHire interface looks like, does anybody have any questions right off the bat? Perfect. Okay, well, I am going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. 1 second here to get it pulled up. So this is what GoodHire will look like when you log in. I'm just going to go over a couple of housekeeping things. I have us scheduled for an hour here today, but there are some features that you won't have access to based on your access. So there are some things that only entire account administrators will have access to. So I'm just going to gloss over those very, very quickly. So we probably won't take the whole hour. So please feel free to ask as many questions if you want. Otherwise, I'll just give you your time back at the end. So I'm going to go through a couple of things here. Again, this is what it looks like when you log in. It's going to be background checks, and this is the main screen. Here we have the Contact Us section. My contact information will be underneath here, so feel free to click on that and email me or give me a phone call, so my info will be here. We have a frequently asked questions and a help center. Most of my clients use me for frequently asked questions and help center, so you can click in here anytime you want, or if it's easier, shoot me a quick email, say, hey, what does this mean? And we can talk about it. We have a billing section, which this is what I'm going to gloss over. It's not going to be really relevant. This is for payment, setting up automatic payments and adding different payment methods. One thing that will be here and available is order history. You will only be able to see the orders that you place personally. Bulk order history won't be relevant to you. Billing codes you will not be able to see on your account as these are set up by administrators only, as well as invoices. So most of this will not be available for everybody. Under the account section on the first tab is my profile. So this is going to be your information. If at any time maybe your email address changes, you want to change your PIN number, you want to change your password, all that will be here as well. The one thing I really want to focus on is the email preferences. So just for full disclosure, I like to tell everybody this right off the bat, not hiding anything. We send a lot of emails. So we're going to send you an email once you order the report, when part of it's completed, when they supply all the information required to start running the check. We can email you if any actions required on your behalf. So we're going to send a lot of emails, and I usually say once you order a couple, monitor the emails that come in and turn them on and off based on the emails that you want to see. If you don't want to see any emails, you don't have to. Some people just want to know when the report's complete, and so they'll have that just at that one, but you can adjust these as needed. And then your personal dashboard will have up to 10 results on it at one time. Or you can edit that and change that number to 25 or 50. It defaults to 10 just to keep your dashboard a little bit cleaner. So it'll be 10 candidates on there at a time, and then it'll roll over to page 2 or 3 or 4. Company profile is going to be your company's basic information. None of this will be editable. It's only editable by an admin on the account. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm catching a little bit of a cold, and so my voice is a little shaky, so I apologize for that right off the bat. Company settings here, you can change the report settings to archive period. What the archive section is on the dashboard, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute, but when you log in, it's going to give you your active background checks. You can clean up your dashboard by either manually moving them to the archived dashboard, or you can have it where it automatically archives them every 90 days. You can adjust that to be 30 or 60 or 90, or you can auto archive them. The other things on here will not be relevant to you. They will stay on your dashboard, even in the archive section, for 12 months from the day that they are ran. So just because you move them to the archive section doesn't mean you won't have access to them. Manage users is not something that you'll have access to. This will be to add new users on and adjust their access. Download activity, integrations, and groupings are also not going to be something that you see. I just like to show it on here in case anybody is an administrator on the account, that they're aware of what those items are. So back to the background checks. This is your hiring results page. So this is going to be your active ones that you're currently working. You have shared results, which is not going to be something that you guys will use. Same with queued results will not be something you use. But here's where the archived results are. If I click anywhere on these bars, they highlight when I hover over them. If I click on any one of those, anywhere on there, you'll see there's an archive button. And this is where I was saying you can manually archive these as you check them over, you clear them. And when you do that, they'll go in the archive section. And this is where they'll live for 12 months. After the 12 months, if you need access to a report, maybe you're being audited or something of that nature, we still have them. They're just stored in our database to keep your database cleaner. So this is where they will be. You can still pull them back up. You can access them at any time from here. Ongoing alerts is not something that you have set up on your account either. So on this screen, hiring results and archived results are going to be the main tabs. And to be perfectly honest, 99.9% of your time will probably be spent on the hiring results. So before I get started on showing you how to run the background checks, does anybody have any questions for me? Perfect. So we try to make this as easy as possible, not only for you, but for the candidates as well. So we try to make this a very clearly defined step-by-step process. I'm not sure how you're going to be entering in the information for your candidates, whether you're going to be entering just first name, last name, and email and having the candidate fill everything out on their own, or if you're going to be entering all the information on their behalf. So I'm going to show you both ways just so you can see how it's done in case you run it one way or the other, in case a candidate doesn't have an email address, things like that always come up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Run a New Background Check. And when you log into your account, you're going to see different packages available. So you'll know which one you're supposed to be clicking on. You've got MVR, General Manager, and then the hotel package for hourly employees. So you can click on any of these depending on what you're running it on. I'm going to go ahead and do the hourly package and click on Select. Here's where you can do add-ons. Do not add anything on to any of these packages without first talking to an administrator. That's very, very important. Everything here is charged at full price and is not in your pricing plan. And so we want to make sure that we're not just adding things on here and there. So make sure you check with an admin first. A company administrator will then let me know if we want to get it added on to a package, even if it's just a one-off. We want to make sure that you have the best pricing. So what I tell people here is just bypass this page together. So we're going to click on Continue up in the corner. And this part is going to be critical for you. So this is the checkout page. You're always going to have to agree to the terms and conditions in these two boxes. But this is where we're going to have the requirement of adding what we call a billing code. This is going to separate it out on the invoice, and it's also going to put a location stamp on the reports. So this is required on every report that you run. So you're going to need to make sure that you know what the location code is for your particular spot. I'm going to go ahead and click on this drop down here. And you can see we're looking at all markets. I can put anything I want in here. So I click on, I'm to start randomly typing in OMA for Omaha. I don't know if you guys all know this. I'm here in Omaha, Nebraska. And these are just some generic ones I have. So as soon as I start typing in anything, it'll give me a drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Omaha East. And again, terms and conditions, place order. And then on the next screen, it's going to say who will complete the details. So for this scenario, we're just going to do the candidates entering in all their information. So I'm going to leave it as candidate, leave it as yes, this is new, and I'm going to click on continue. And this is where I'll enter in their first name, last name, not what I meant to do, and email address. This here can be, it's generic. It's automatically going to come pre-filled with a thanks for choosing GoodHire, or please complete your background check through GoodHire. So it's going to come pre-populated. I have this here just so you can see that you can make it anything you want. So if maybe there's a certain message you want to send to one specific candidate, you can. If you want to change that and send it to everybody the same way, you can click Set as Default. But otherwise, you can change that per candidate if you need to. If you don't need to, that's fine as well. So first name, last name, email address, I'm just going to leave that there, and I'm going to click Request from Candidate. And then once I do that, it takes me back to my dashboard, and you can see this is the one I just put in. Awaiting info means I'm waiting on the candidate to fill in their info. I can add info if maybe the candidate calls back in or emails you and says, I don't have access to my computer or my cell phone or my iPad. You can enter it on their behalf by clicking there, and then you can just change it to myself, meaning that you are going to enter in the information. I'm going to go back 1 second here, and you can, again, and when you highlight this bar anywhere around the name, you click it down, you can see what we're still waiting for. In this instance, we're waiting on everything. So I know that I really over-explain when I first run through it, and I apologize. I just want to make sure I'm pointing everything out again. I'll go through it again. But does anybody have any questions on any of those screens? There will not be, sorry if anybody can't see this, Gail asked, will there be a default drug test location for each locale? There is not a default drug test location. The candidate will have to enter in or they'll have to select their zip code and the radius around their zip code, wherever they want to go, and then they'll have to select their own location. Does anybody else have any questions before we go through it one more time? Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like when we enter in all the information for the candidate, and it'll also show you what it looks like running it without me over explaining everything. So I'm going to click on Run a New Background Check. I'm going to go ahead and click on General Manager this time. I'm not going to add anything here, so I'm going to click on Continue. I'm going to agree to the terms and conditions. I'm going to enter in the market that I want and place order. And I'm going to click on Myself. And yes, I'm a new candidate. So again, I'm clicking on myself because I'm entering the information for the candidate. Okay. Can everybody see what Kim is typing in here? Okay. We'll discuss that here when we go through the end here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this. So we're clicking on myself, and we're going to do first name, last name. Middle name is recommended if you have it. If you don't have it, you can leave it blank. And then we're going to do the candidate email address. Phone number is optional. I'm going to go ahead and put it in here anyway. And then birth date. An address. And zip code. When I type in the zip code and just click the tab or enter button, it'll automatically populate. Enter in the social security number. And then I'll click complete. When you do that, it'll drop you down. This is one thing that I definitely want to show you. If you are entering this on behalf of your candidate, it's going to ask you for the location of your office or where they're going to be working. So this is pretty important. If you don't have an exact location of where candidates are going to be working, you could always enter in the address for where you are sitting. We do this because we want to make sure that we're following all FCRA, legal, EEOC, all types of compliance rules and regulations. And we do this because things can be different at city level, county level, state level, and so we're trying to get that as exact as possible. It's not always possible to do that, but we're trying. So you can enter in a zip code here, again, tab, and it'll auto-populate, or you can enter the state and the city on your own. If all of your candidates are working in the same area, you can click Make this the default office location, and then you won't have to fill this out. It'll automatically do it for you every time. And then I'm going to click on Complete. For this one, want the driver's license number. And the state. And I click on complete. And then it's going to ask me to confirm. The things that are most important to confirm is spelling of the names, the birth date, social security number. And if you have the MVR on there, driver's license as well. I always tell people, some people can get in a habit of just confirming and moving forward. If you maybe type in a social security number wrong on accident and you click on confirm, it's going to put an alert onto the background check, and you're probably going to have to run it all over again. And Gail is asking, is email a requirement? If your candidate does not have an email address, you can put in our generic one that we have. And I'll send all of this over to you later, but it's no-candidate-email@goodhire.com. So you can put that in there and it will allow things to start processing without the candidate email. So I'm going to go ahead and click on confirm after I've confirmed all of the details. And then it's, who do you want to upload the consent? If you want the candidate, if you're going to email it and have the candidate electronically do it that way. If you are already, if you already have a copy of it, you'll click on myself. You don't have to upload anything. You'll just click on I have collected it and then click on complete. And here you have to agree to the FCRA Reporting Act client certification. This is just saying that you're using the report for appropriate purposes for employment, and then you can just click apply to all records. Sorry that this keeps popping up in the corner, guys. I've got it turned off and it's just doesn't appear to be turned off, so sorry about that. All right, does anybody have any questions about anything that we've gone through so far? Okay, perfect. So you can see this one we're awaiting info. That's when we sent to the candidate. Looks like you guys will be entering in the information on behalf of your applicant now. So then this is what yours will look like for the most part, which just shows that it's processing. So I'll show you what it looks like when you open up a report. Give me 1 second here. Oh, looks like that question was not for me. Okay, so here is a clear report. I'm going to click on View Results. When you open it up, it's going to show you everything that we checked for. Obviously, this isn't exactly what you guys are going to be running, but you can see there's a green check mark by everything showing it was clear. You can click into any of these that you want, for instance, sex offender list, and it'll show you which registries are checked. For the National Criminal Database, you can pull it up and see which counties and which states are checked if you need that for any reason. But otherwise, it's a pretty basic report and it comes back clear. There is a print and a download and a back button. Back button will take you back to the main dashboard. The download button and the print button, excuse me, whenever you do this, make sure you do the condensed. So print condensed or download condensed. The reason we do that is because if you select all details, it will print out all of these details. And it'll turn into like a 50-page report, which you don't want. So make sure that you're always just selecting the condensed. So I'm going to go back to the dashboard and show you what it looks like with an alert. You can see this one that we just ran already came back with an alert, so we'll just pull that one up. I'm going to click on View Results. And you can see by the exclamation point that everything I ran has something wrong with it. Hopefully, this does not look like any of your applicants' background checks, but you never know. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when you pull up any one of these. So this one is saying the Social Security number does not match any records. That can happen for a couple of different reasons, so it's not necessarily something to panic about. It could be because the person is very young, maybe 18, 19, 20, doesn't have any credit on their own. Could be somebody new to the country with a new Social Security number who hasn't established credit yet. So a couple of different reasons that can happen. Generally, if somebody's 30, 40, 50 and it's coming up, then we want to make sure that the Social Security number was entered correctly, which you can do by calling me. There's a lot of other alerts that can come up on a Social Security alert. A couple are something that you really don't need to be concerned about. The most common one is that there is no date of birth attached to the SSN, or that the date of birth doesn't match exactly. That usually happens when a credit bureau has made a clerical error. It's not something that is super critical. We usually recommend that the candidate contact the credit bureau in order to make that change, but that's not something to be critical about. So I'm just going to say that this person here is 18 years old. We verified photo ID, social security number, and they just don't have any credit. We're going to assume it's because they're young. So I'm going to go here and mark this as okay. When I do that, you can see the check mark, meaning it's been reviewed by somebody and it's been okayed. So you can see that I reviewed it on this date. For the national criminal, you can pull it up and see here's the first record and the offender details. Address is associated with it. And then you can click for more details, which will give you the offenses tied to the records. So for the offenses, you can see that I committed the crime in Yellowstone County, that it was a sexual-based offense. That looks like I had or some stuff depicting child pornography. Here was when the record was filed, or the date. Here's when it was filed. This is the arresting agency. You can see I was convicted of the crime, and that I did serve some time in prison. Severity of the offense looks like it was misdemeanor, but you can scroll down and look through all of those. You can see here, I committed another crime. Looks like receiving stolen property around the same date. This one was a felony. So you can see all those. Another record number 2, scroll down again, show more details, and the offenses tied to that record. One thing I do want to show you, this one's not really a good example, but I'll show you anyway. So this one is arson. Sometimes these descriptions get so abbreviated, they're hard to tell what they mean. So we have this hyperlink right here, which is an A to Z glossary of terms. It's by no means all inclusive, but we try to get as many on there as possible. So if I want to click here, I've got something that starts with a P. I don't know what it is. We'll just say it says PNC, plead no contest. So it can give you some insight into what some of those offenses or crimes or convictions are for. And that's going to be on every record all the time. All right, so I'm going to scroll back up and we'll just say that it's completely okay, that criminal record. So again, I'm going to mark as okay. The sex offender county searches are going to look exactly the same. So you got the record number, show more details, offenses tied to it, show you it looks exactly the same on the criminal record as well. Click show more details and I'll show you the offenses tied to it. Motor vehicle information will give you the types. This one's a commercial, medical, gives you some issue dates, original issue date, the expiration date. Looks like it has been suspended because I'm a habitual traffic offender. So you can see all these different things down on here. And then any notes down here will be directly from the court system or the DMV. Any questions on what it looks like or anything you want me to go back over on how it looks or how to read anything? Okay, perfect. So one thing that we have is when we send the report to you, if the candidate has an email address, they will also get a copy of the report at the same time. They also will be alerted that they have an alert on there. So in the email to say, hey, you have an alert on your background check, when they open it up the same way you did here, the first thing they're going to say is you have at least one alert. When they open up or click through that section, they're going to be prompted for a couple of different things. It's going to take them to the alert and say, is this correct? So is this revoked license correct? Is this depicting child pornography correct? If they say, yes, it's correct, then we're going to prompt them to put some comments on there. So we'll just say maybe the one that was arson. If they say, yes, this arson was correct, I was 18 at the time, I'm 55 now, I haven't committed a crime since, I was young and dumb. Maybe they want you to know that. So when they put notes on there for you, you'll get a notification that there's notes on there, and the notes will show up right here. So any notes they put on there will show up there. Or if you want to know more information about this suspended, I can click request comments and it will request comments, asking them to put information in there. So that's one option they have. If they say, no, this is not correct, I've never committed arson, it's not me, then we're going to follow or show them step by step how to file a dispute. They can file a dispute from their report if they have an emailed copy, or they can call into our support team and we'll file a dispute on their behalf with the correct agency. So that's how they file a dispute, any incorrect information, as well as leaving you comments. Now, we have adverse action process. It's something that's going to be at an administrator level. So if there's any questions about how to do the adverse action, the different steps on the adverse action later, please let me know. I can definitely answer that for you as well. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the dashboard. The typical time varies. Gail's asking about the time, so it's really going to depend on the county. All different counties come back at all different times. We have some counties that come back same day or next day, but then you have these real problem counties. Like right now, Floyd, Georgia had a ransomware attack in May, and their systems have been down since May, and they're just coming back online, and it's been 6 months later. Obviously, that's a terrible extreme and not norm. But there are some counties that linger out there, but the average turnaround time is about 2 to 3 days. So the majority of the ones you see will come back in 2 to 3 days. Okay, one other thing that I really want to show you is we have this awaiting info. That means the candidate still has not gone in there and filled out their information. Again, I know that you're going to be entering the information for the most part, but this is in that rare circumstance that you don't. When you hover, you can see that there's a checkbox that comes up on the side. So if I click on the checkbox, you'll see this bar popped up. So I can either request info, which means it's going to automatically send out another email to the candidate and ask them to fill it out. Or I can archive it. So if you want to just archive a ton of them at one time, and I'll put them in the archive for you. Or you can download the results, or the candidate can send. And you can select up to 10 of them at a time and do that there. So we call it mass action, so you can do more than one thing all at one time. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? Oh. We do not provide opinions on candidates. We can't. That's considered giving legal advice. And so we're not allowed to give legal advice. I mean, it's one of those things where if you're running a daycare and somebody's a habitual sex offender, it's probably a good idea not to hire them. I think we can all agree to that. But other than that, we just cannot give any opinions and legal advice. Any other questions? Again, I know I said we scheduled this for an hour. There's a lot of stuff to go over more on the admin side, which of course we'll go over offline here, but this is pretty basic. We try to make it as easy as possible. I know I say that, and I know you guys aren't going to get running here for a couple weeks, so if at any time you say, hey, starting to run this, or I know I'm supposed to do something, and I can't remember what I'm supposed to do here, it's absolutely what I'm here for. So call me, email me, whatever's most convenient for you, and we can either walk through your first report together, or I can just help you over the hump that you're in, anything at any time. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to speak up now. Okay, perfect. Well, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be adding you as users on the account. Once you do, like I said, my contact information will be right over here under the Contact Us section. So feel free to contact me at any time once we get those logins out to you here over the next couple of weeks. If anything comes up in the meantime, reach out to Kim and she can reach out to me, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Kim, I have recorded this, so if anybody at the end of our training sessions here misses it, I do have a copy for everybody, or if anybody on this call wants to have it just so they have it in their back pocket, that's fine as well. But other than that, I will give you guys 30 minutes of your day back. Hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you in the meantime. Thanks, everybody.